the good news is, in a special session, we have so few items on the agenda that the good bills don't get crowded out, and there's no place to hide for those people that don't want to pass the good bills. Maybe, of course, all of our Republicans want to. And so the governor, of course, made election integrity number one. He announced that from the beginning, put it on the call. It's Senate Bill 1. House Bill 3 is also on file. Representative Andy Murr, a very sharp state representative lawyer from the Hill Country, is carrying that bill in the House. And he and I have talked on the phone. He and I spent quite a bit of time together last night going over the bill. So I have filed Senate Bill 1. He has filed House Bill 3. They're very similar, and we're making them more similar by the day. And so things are moving quickly. That bill, back in the Senate in particular, Senate Bill 1, your election integrity omnibus bill, was filed, was referred to committee, my committee, the State Affairs. Well, it's not mine, but the committee I chair. And so we have set our hearing for Saturday morning at 11 a.m. at the Capitol. And I know the House is also moving quickly on a hearing, and I'll defer to Representative Jetton and Chairman Klick to talk about the House. But the House and Senate are both moving very quickly. And so we had a meeting yesterday with a number of members. The whole Senate met, and then I met with a number of senators individually. We're moving through this, and so expect a hearing is set for Saturday. Expect this bill, Senate Bill 1, to be on the Senate floor very early next week for passage. You may recall last time with Senate Bill 7, the debate went overnight. We were literally there overnight. I was on the floor of the Senate debating Senator West, and my phone went off, and I thought that was odd, and I pulled it out of my coat, and that's because it was 6 a.m. It was my alarm, time to get up. And I didn't have to, because we were still there debating the bill, and we got done about 7 a.m., 7:30. And we're prepared for that again. So that's what's going to happen. And again, the House and Senate are working together to get the bills, to get all the good stuff from each bill together. And we're going to get there. The governor's committed to this. In fact, I was honored to have dinner with the governor last night and some of the bill authors of some of the major bills in the special session. I'm proud to be carrying election integrity, and also that social media, that Facebook censorship bill, which is so important, and also the critical race theory bill. I know those are beyond the scope of this call, but we're very excited about those and all the items on the call. So election integrity, special session starts over, but we've got a real head start because of what was done during the regular session. The media continues to malign and twist things, even about all this stuff about Sunday voting you've heard about. They said, why'd you change Sunday voting? Where'd that come from? You know, our friends in the House put an amendment in conference committee that said Sunday voting starts at 1 o'clock. And we saw it and didn't think anything about it because, as you guys know, Sunday voting has always been an afternoon thing. And then during the debate, Senator West just excoriated us for keeping his community from voting, because he says, in my community, we start in the morning. We go to early service on Sunday, then we vote, then we go to lunch. And this is an early morning to early afternoon activity. Well, you know what I found yesterday? In Dallas County in 2020 and in 2018, as far back as we can tell, in Dallas County, Sunday voting starts at 1 p.m. How about Harris County? Sunday voting, 1 p.m. Austin is noon. Every county we looked at, this is not an early morning activity. So the Democrats created that. The national media ran with it, beat us up with it. It's a nothing issue. Sunday voting has always been in the afternoon. But to make it clear, there's no question, the House and Senate have both removed that 1 o'clock provision. So they won't even be able to claim we're keeping them from voting Sunday morning, even though nobody votes Sunday morning. So anyway, we're removing all the silly obstacles they raised that were made up out of nothing. We're focusing on the strong portions of the bill that Texans are for, common sense reforms you ladies and gentlemen are all for. So we're very excited. We're moving quickly. State Affairs Committee is going to work pretty much every day between critical race theory, boys playing in not playing in girls sports, social media accountability, election integrity. It's going to be a busy special session, and we're optimistic about getting all these bills done.
Wow, you do have a lot of bills going. So tomorrow morning. So you're having your the first committee meeting on SB1 at 11 a.m. Is that correct, Senator?
That's exactly right. And I believe the House is also meeting Saturday morning. I'll let them tell you about it, but that'll make it more convenient for the witnesses, because the meetings will both be on Saturday. The hearings will both be on Saturday. So election bills.
So yeah, and we can get into this in the question portion, but the more we hear it, the more we know. I believe that that it would be good for us to show up, especially if we have a T-shirt that says "One person, one vote," and to be there to support. To even, I don't know, are they going to be having testimony? Did you say that they'll be happening?
Yes, ma'am. We will be taking testimony, oral testimony, written testimony, and if you're free on Saturday, showing up in that shirt and going to the committee and registering for the bill that goes in the record, even if you choose not to testify, if you're there making a showing and you register for the bill that goes in the official record, we'd also love for you to testify. But if folks don't want to testify, but you want to come and show your support, that would be wonderful. But yes, ma'am, we will be definitely taking testimony.
That is awesome. Thank you. Yeah, well, we're going to go over that again. So this is like the second time. First time you heard it in his presentation, second time we're bringing up. So we want you guys to mark your calendar. You're getting 24-hour notice. Everything is in warp speed when it comes to the special session. Senator, yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And don't go away, because I'm sure there'll be some other questions. But let me just say one more thing. Are there 11 topics that we're looking at, right? That the bills that we're looking at, I think 11.
That's exactly right. And the governor told me, and the governor said last night he may be adding more, but there are 11 currently.
Wow. Okay, sounds good. Now let's go to, I'm not sure if Representative Klick, I talked to her yesterday. Are you on, Stephanie? Representative Klick, are you there? Okay, well, we do, I know, if she's not here yet, we do know we have Representative Jetton on. So you are on the hot seat. Well, not total hot seat. You just give your presentation. That's Karen's job to put you on the hot seat. Go ahead.
That's good. Good morning. Good morning. It's good to be with everyone again. And it's good to hear from Senator Hughes, and look forward to the next, I guess, 29 days left now to knock out what I think is a pretty conservative agenda. And so I'm excited about this special session. You know, you get 30 days to accomplish what usually happens in 140 days, but we do get to get hyper focused on some really conservative items, and especially the knocking out this election integrity bill, which, you know, we worked hard on this last session, and it was for me, it was at least heartbreaking at the last final hours for it to go down the way that it did. And so I'm eager to get back in there and make sure we get this across the finish line this time. Over in the House, the Speaker Phelan created a House Select Committee on Constitutional Rights and Remedies, which is has 15 members on there. From what I understand, some of the bills are going to go through there. I can tell you for sure right now, bail reform and election integrity are going to go through this new committee. Our first meeting is tomorrow morning, July 10th at 8 a.m. We're supposed to hear the bail reform bill first, and then quickly after that, we will jump right into election integrity. As the senator mentioned, we're going to have testimony. We're going to keep on listening until everybody's done, and so we suspect this will go into Sunday most likely, but it's important for the process to make sure that we feel everybody has an opportunity to share their thoughts and concerns, and it would definitely be helpful and encouraging to have some of our side come out. We know the other side's ready, prepared, will show up in big numbers, and it does help us in our argument to be able to say that, listen, there's Texans that are for this. Polls have shown it, but it's helpful to have the numbers here present, and just registering it, as the senator mentioned, is very helpful. Calling the offices, your state representatives, that stuff should get keyed into our CMS system, and we can go and quickly look and say, show that, listen, we had this many phone calls, this many contacts to our office saying they're in favor of this bill versus the opposition. Those type of things help us when we go back to our district and explain to people that when we get this passed, that this is what Texans wanted. It's important to the majority of the people did understand that this is protecting your vote, that it's going after that voter fraud that's out there and securing our elections. So, yeah, as was mentioned, we have HB3 on our side, and that's what will be heard this weekend. And I think the senator covered most of the other items, but happy to answer any questions.
So, yes, so you're saying that it's 8 a.m. on Saturday. So everybody, I mean, guys, I mean, you're here, it's 7 o'clock in the morning now, right now, 7:18. But you can be in Austin, you know, you might have to get up a lot earlier to drive if you have a distance. But so you could go 8 a.m. to the House and then go on over at 11 a.m. to the Senate and be out there. I mean, we've got to get that message out to be there in numbers because I'm going to tell you, the Dems are going to do it. I'm sure.
I do want to reiterate. So 8 a.m., we're going to likely start with bail reform first. And so we're going to hear 2 bail reform bills first, and then HB3, the election one. And so welcome to come at 8 a.m. Just know when you get there, we're probably going to start with bail reform.
And how long do you think that would take?
You know, I'm not sure. Maybe the senator knows how long that lasted in the Senate side, but I wasn't on that committee during the regular session, as I wasn't keeping track of that. I'm not sure how contentious that is.
I'm not sure, mate. So
Senator Hughes.
Senator Hughes, are you still there? Did we lose you for a second? There he is.
That bill, the bail reform bill over in the Senate, got a lot of attention from county officials and some law enforcement, but nothing near the hundreds of witnesses we expect on the election bill. So boy, it's so hard to say, but I'd be surprised if that bail reform stuff went more than a couple of hours. But please, that's just an estimate on my part. Don't wait to show up if you miss that. But I'd be surprised if bail reform went more than a couple of hours.
I suspect you're right.
Okay.
So, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, and I think some of these questions will be answered also, but the sooner you get there and sign in, you would be called up. Would you not be called on sooner than later to testify?
So I'll let Representative Jetton speak for how the House handles that. It's a good question. And so in the Senate, of course, if you're there and it's time to start open testimony and you've registered, you're going to be in the queue for that. But we do not take witnesses in the order that they register. We'll try to split up the for and against, you know, have a couple of for, have a couple against, so that, and especially sometimes we'll have a whole lot more witnesses show up for one side than the other. So we try to spread that out so that everybody is heard. But yes, ma'am, getting there early, it's more likely you'll testify early, but I want to be clear, it's not purely first come, first serve. You don't necessarily testify in the order you get there. Now, if somebody has to go, I know it's a Saturday, but if somebody has to go or has a family deal or a medical deal or has got to get on the road, let us know. You know, send us, come tell the clerk or call me, email me, my office, and we'll try to make accommodation for you. I'll tell you one other thing that we may do, and in the Senate, we have never stopped a hearing when people are still waiting to testify. But here's what we will probably do, and I think the House does this too. I'll defer to Representative Jetton. But our Senate hearing is going to begin at 11 a.m. We're going to start, and at some point I will announce, okay, if you're here and you wish to testify, we need you to register in the electronic system. And if you don't, then you need to register by a certain time. And I don't know if we'll cut that off early afternoon, but we're going to say, as long as you register by this time, we're going to stay here as long as it takes for you to testify. But my point is, if people arrive in Austin on Saturday at 10 o'clock at night or even 5 o'clock at night, they may not get to testify because the hearing starts at 11. And within the first couple of 3 hours, folks need to register if they want to testify. Everybody who registers, we're going to stay and listen to, even if it takes 5 days. But at some point, we may cut off that witness registration. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to be there at 11 o'clock sharp, but don't wait till late afternoon if you want to testify. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Good information. Very good.
That's right. And the only thing I'll add from the House side, we do have invited and open testimony, and so those invited members will likely go first, and then
Yes.
those that
Yes.
yeah, those that registered, we tend to stack it the same way.
Okay, and I do see that Representative Stephanie Klick got on. I think she was having some technical difficulties. So where are you, Representative Klick? I know you're on there. I don't see you. You need to talk so you can pop up.
I am here.
There she is. Good. We're welcome. Thank you for getting on and being persistent. You know, that love-hate relationship with technology, but sometimes we just got to go for it. So let's hear from you before we end up getting some questions referring, because I see there's a number in the chat that, so please give us some information. The senator has talked about the Senate side, and Representative Jetton has given us some, but let's hear what you have to say also, please.
The House committee hearing begins at 8 o'clock in the morning. We will also be having the portal open for testimony so that if folks cannot come to Austin, they can, on the House side, submit written testimony. You can go to the committee's website to get access to that. So if you can't make it down there, there's still a way for you to be able to weigh in on the legislation. During a special session, the rules in the House are a little bit different. We only have to give 24 hours notice on a hearing rather than 5 days like we do in a regular session. And that applies only on the House side, not necessarily the Senate side. So, these bills, they could be on the floor next week if we get them out of committee. So things could go very, very fast.
Could you give us a little more detail on the testimony? So can you kind of run us through the steps when it comes to doing it from our home or from our phone or wherever we might be tomorrow if we're not able to get to Austin?
You can go on the committee website, and there will be a link on that you can submit written testimony.
Representative, should you go to the TLO and go to that, and then it will show what committees are meeting, and then you click on that? Is that how that would work?
That would probably be the quickest way to find a link directly to that committee, because it is a new special committee that will help you find it quicker.
Okay, and Representative Jetton, I think you mentioned the name of the committee. Can you guys, and I did see someone say this, can you tell us again, what is the name of this committee? And also who's on the committee?
Sure, it's the Constitutional Rights and Remedies.
Oh, okay.
And the members on it, I have the list open right here. Representative Ashby is going to be the chair. Vice chair is Symphonia Thompson. We also have John Busey, Travis Clardy, Charlie Guerin, myself, Ann Johnson, Representative Klick, Landgraf, Longoria, Lozano, Moody, Niave, Shaheen, and White.
Wow, that's a big committee.
Yes.
They got a lot of work to be done. So, well, that's good. Okay, that's, and so I guess another question I would have, I get a privilege because, I'm kind of running the show here. Let me ask this question that popped in my head. Should we go to TLO, and because it's a new session, should we go to TLO and tag the words or the committees that when they're going to meet and go through that process? Do we have to, well, this is a new committee, so obviously we need to go there and tag it to tell us when it is going to meet, and then any words, election integrity or election reform, when those are going to be heard. Do we need to redo that since we did it last time?
My recommendation would be yes, because that tagging was done previously for the regular session, and we're in special session.
Good. So I was thinking about that, and I thought, I didn't know if that was asked in there, so that was fine. Hey, okay, that is perfect. I think a little more information will be brought out with Karen. I'm going to turn this over to you because most of this, what these questions right now are dealing with the special session. So before we go into our second segment of our presentation with the RNC and what they're doing in Texas, let's go with the questions and see what else we can learn.
All right, by all means, let's fire up the hot seat. All right, the first question, it was not directed to the senator or to the reps, so anyone can jump in. There were 7 key provisions removed from SB 7 that has central count watchers from the largest counties in Texas very anxious. Why were these taken out? And is there a way to get them back in? And it was regarding tabulation of elections.
Okay. So I'll start with that, and of course I want to hear from our friends in the House. Hughes here. The conference committee report on Senate Bill 7, of course, came at the end of the session. Things were pretty tight on time, and so there were some changes made to the bill. The big stuff was in it, but there were some changes made. So Senate Bill 1, which I filed in the House, and House Bill 3, which Representative Murr filed. And again, let's talk now about this special session. These are new, fresh bills. Now, many of the elements that we saw in the conference committee report are there because those are the elements we're for. In the bills, you will see live feed, video stream in central counting. From the beginning to the end, anytime ballots are there, 24 hours, there'll be live stream video of central counting. And we've got that in virtually all Texas counties. For our smallest counties, there's an exception because of the lack of broadband access, a few things like that. But for the counties where the vast majority of Texans live, in both the House and the Senate bills, you'll find that provision for live stream, real time, 24/7 cameras broadcasting what's going on in central counting. So that's in both the House and the Senate bills. There's a couple little things we're going to tweak, but that's in both bills.
Representatives, do you guys have any comment on that?
If there's anything else to add to that, yeah, we do have new bills, and I think those items that are of interest to everyone. I mean, those are helpful to continue to share with us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so just keep on reaching out to us on it. There's also some smaller bills that I know some of the members are putting together. I'm putting together one that and the provisions out of the House, but I haven't looked at the Senate, but having to do with voter roll maintenance. And I think there's other things that will still be addressed outside of the Omnimiss bills, but just communicate with us to those items that are important to you.
Representative Klick, do you need to add anything to that? No, she's quiet. Okay, then let's, okay, go ahead, Karen.
All right, John Bankston asks, given how the Democrats cheated and stole the election, but then the courts also supported them, how do we plan to be able to win in the future?
Well, a couple things, pardon me, a couple things I would say to that. Obviously, in Texas, the results accurately showed President Trump winning in Texas, even though the Democrats swore they were going to win the Texas House, and even some Republicans were nervous. We held the Texas House, did not lose a single net seat, held the majority in Texas Senate, held every U.S. congressional district, even the one in the Dallas area that Speaker Pelosi most wanted to win from us. So Texas is not Georgia, is not Pennsylvania. We don't use those Dominion machines. We have a lot of checks in place, and Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 3 are putting more protections in place. Auditable paper trail. In fact, auditable paper trail, which Representative Jetton and I have worked on for a long time, that is already passed. The auditable paper trail for electronic voting has already passed in the regular session. That is the law. Governor Pabbitt's already signed that. That's one of the untold stories. Almost a dozen strong election integrity bills did make it through the regular session. We should talk about that sometime. But we have auditable paper trail. We also have reforms in Senate Bill 1 about those electronic machines requiring how the data is stored so it can't be written over or corrupted. Also making sure we're running those zero tapes to make sure the counts are accurate. So there's a lot of checks. In Texas elections are already better than just about every other state, and Senate Bill 1, House Bill 3 have even more protection. So we're not just laying around waiting for the Democrats to steal it.
Yeah, that's right. The only thing, so just to reiterate on that, like he said, we got the stuff, we got the statutes in there to protect the machines, to make sure they're not penetrable. We got the auditability, and then we're also, we're adding language in there that's going to make it easier for the Attorney General's office to prosecute fraud when it's found. And that was right. One of the struggles that we had was, it was there, but the statutes weren't strong enough or clear enough, and so. That's important for us to clear up.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
If Chairman Klick doesn't have anything to add in, the next question is, why do we use an omnibus bill instead of voting up and down on separate bills to address each issue?
Well, there's always a big debate about whether to have one big bill or multiple bills. Last session, we had the omnibus bill plus a number of standalone bills. And as I mentioned, I know it was before the question was submitted. As I mentioned a moment ago, though, the omnibus bill did not make it, in a number of the standalone bills did make it. Auditable paper trail, which we've worked on for almost 20 years, is now the law. A tracking system so that you can track your own ballot by mail so that you can see where it is in the process. Is the application going to get to me in time? Is my mail ballot going to make it? That was in the Senate Bill 7, but it passed in a separate bill that I had with a Democrat in the House, believe it or not. It was my bill in the Senate, Democrat in the House. That passed. So we're doing both. We're focusing on the omnibus bill because there are so many elements. It would take dozens of individual bills to cover every single issue. And even though people get excited about omnibus bills and the press beats us up, if you want to look historically at pro-life stuff, at gun bills, at election bills, big omnibus bills work. Some people don't like them, but those are the workhorses, and that's how we get conservative reforms done.
You want to take that one, Stephanie?
Well, and I will say that omnibus bills, at least on the House side, are difficult because you go into so many sections of the code that a lot of amendments can be germane to that. So, omnibus bills, or especially election omnibus bills, are difficult. But, we've got a strategy of separate bills as well as the omnibus bills to get some of the bigger things done.
All right, thank you. The next question, there's two of them very similar, one from Sherry Ottinger and one from Ann Grinnells. How will Governor Abbott prevent the Democrats from running from the session? And what will prevent them from leaving so there is not a quorum?
So the governor has wisely put some things on the call that the Democrats want to vote for. One of the things the governor added is something we are all for, and that's the 13th check for our retired teachers. I bet we have some retired teachers on the call. We haven't done many increases to that annuity. One's coming very soon, I think, within a session or so. But for now, a 13th check, an extra check for each of our retirees, that's on the special session call. Also reforms to child protective system, also other bills to protect children. So things that Democrats are for, or they say they're for, that their constituents are for, those are on the call. And so if the Democrats leave, they're going to be killing those bills as well. And as you know, that's what the governor has done. Now, the speaker and lieutenant governor also have the authority to put a call on the House and to put a call on the Senate. Nobody here is old enough to remember this, but back in 2003, that happened when the Democrats went to Oklahoma. I was brand new in the House, and Speaker Craddock put a call on the House, and they locked the doors. And those of us who were in the House who didn't leave, we had to stay. So we stayed in the House chamber and the DPS guarded the doors, and the DPS went to hunt for the Democrats. And they'd have been hunting for Republicans if they had left to bust a quorum. It wasn't a partisan thing. Of course, the Democrats left and busted the session, and the governor called another special session. And that time, the Senate Democrats went to New Mexico and killed another session. And then Governor Perry called us back, and we passed the bill. So the most they could do was delay. But the Speaker or Lieutenant Governor can put a call on the House and on the Senate, lock the doors, and send the DPS to arrest the absent members. That's a strong measure, but it's available. It's in the Constitution and it's in the rules. But as far as what the governor's done, the governor wisely added these items to the agenda. So if the Democrats leave, they're going to be killing those bills to help our retired teachers, to help children and child protective services, and to help abused children. So we think that if that doesn't keep them there, there's always the DPS.
I think that's
All
right.
right.
The only thing, yeah, and I'd also add, I think, we heard more discussion about it yesterday. I think that a lot of the Democrats are recognizing that the last couple times that they did this, it didn't turn out well for them the next election cycle. There are consequences to walking out.
That's right.
The voters don't appreciate those members that choose not to show up for the job they're elected to do. So I think they'll be more reluctant this time around.
Do you have anything to add to that, Chairman Klick?
I would very much agree that the voters were not very kind to them when they did this before. And, we all show up for work when we are expected to be there, and they need to as well.
Amen.
All right. Senator Hughes, the next question is from Andrew Eller. Do the Senate committees still require COVID testing as they did during the regular session?
That is a great question. There is no, some of you who were at the Capitol may recall there was a big military tent set up behind the building for COVID testing. You will be pleased to see that tent is not there. Nobody there doing testing, no testing requirements. And I know that the members and the members of the public will be pleased to come into the Senate committee rooms and see there is no plexiglass. There's no cone of silence separating the members and separating us from you guys. It was so hard to see through that stuff. It was what it was. So that's the good news. So we don't anticipate any testing requirements. There's not going to be plexiglass barriers. We're not sure what they're going to do about social distancing, but I don't even know if there are plans for that. But no, don't expect any testing requirements or wristbands in the Senate. I guess the House didn't have that anyway. So I'm so glad you asked that question, because I should have announced that. Thank you for that question. I should have thought to tell people that. Don't let that keep you away.
Awesome. The next
The bad
question.
news is the bad news is the Democrats are all vaccinated, so they're going to show up this time. But go ahead.
They'll still wear masks
That's right.
in their cars. So the next question is from Margie Seams. Have people come forth with information on irregularities that occurred in Tarrant County election?
Not that I've heard.
I remember we received a lot of testimony, and there's a chance we did. But I can't remember offhand any specifics.
Yeah, Chairman Klick would be the expert on Tarrant County for me on a lot of things, but I don't recall any specific Tarrant County stuff. Like Representative Jetton, there may have been something I'm not thinking of, but I don't recall offhand anything specific to Tarrant County.
So I would say we have one more question, because I want to make sure we have time for our other two gentlemen to speak. But I think that point, when listening to that question and hearing the answer, don't assume that the information has been shared. It can be shared more than one time or twice. So I would recommend, and I would hope our representative, our elected officials would say, hey, send it in, because it is very important to know what's happening across the state. And again, don't assume that somebody already did it, because maybe they didn't hear, maybe it didn't happen. So Karen, let's do another question.
All
And then
right.
I'm going to move on to our next two guests.
All right. I'm listing them as they arrived chronologically, the question. So the next one that arrived is, why was the new Constitutional Rights and Remedies Committee created, and how did the members of that committee get selected?
So I mean, I'll just start off. I mean, the speaker, it's at the speaker's discretion, and the speaker's appointed those members to that committee. Maybe I don't know if Chairman Klick can answer more of the reason behind it, but I think having more members with a wide variety of backgrounds to sit on this committee that's going to hear a variety of different topics made sense for an expedited special session. But I'll let Chairman Klick to add to that if that's incorrect.
You know, I would agree with what Representative Jetton has said. You've got members that have been in the House for quite some time. Many of them are also chairmen of committees. So you've got a seasoned list of veterans with some new folks, but new folks that have got, you know, some experience on the issues before us.
Okay, I know that there are a number of other questions, and maybe next week we can answer those, because this is going to be a weekly call through the special session. And if we do have time at the end, we could maybe answer a few more. But I want to give some time to our RNC representatives, the Republican National Committee representatives. I want you guys to know what RNC is doing. We are working together with all states, but there is representation in our state of Texas, and you need to hear what's going on and how you can connect and how you can help. Besides helping here and going to the Capitol, and it is still an ongoing event. I mean, I looked at an email that I got this morning that are talking points, and I will be sharing these talking points on TAG Talks on Tuesday or Saturday, whatever day I send them out. Election integrity and critical race theory. That is incredible talking points that we can use, helps us maybe develop our message when you want to testify or when you want to submit a written testimony. So we are doing a lot, and unless we share this information, you don't know what the RNC is doing. So today we have two gentlemen that are with us. We have Drew Saxon, who is our RPD, which is Republican political director, and I think he can tell you how many states he has, but he has incredible background in working in campaigns and working with different groups and elected officials. I can tell you, I have been so impressed with how he ends up communicating and his method of getting back. When you have a question, it's answered within a very short period of time. That is crucial. I know that our chairwoman, Ronna McDaniel, has said, I want our staff to communicate with the people on the ground, with our representatives, the committee man and woman, with our state chair, but all the different people. And this is being done. And then what's going to follow up from there, after Drew gives his presentation on the bigger picture, then we get to narrow it down to actually our new state RNC state director, Quinton Hitchcock, who is going to be sharing what's going on, what they just did this past weekend, which I think you've got some good news to share with us, Quinton. But before I turn it over to these two fabulous men that I love working with and have been for a number of weeks, if not months, with Drew, that I went to Google Quinton to just get some information, because I mean, he has his background. He is from Las Vegas. He's been working. He worked out there in Vegas in many different aspects. He was a quarterback. He's played football, college baseball. Guy's an athlete. Now, that's the thing I want to share with you. I think many of you know I have a connection with WWE, the Worldwide Wrestling. And all of a sudden, this Quinton's name, I mean, you don't think there's too many Quintons out there, right? Pops up as a wrestler. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have something more in common than just politics. We've got wrestling in common. I said, Quinton, is that you? And he goes, yep, that's me. So anyway, but he's been working in the political world. And I'm going to tell you, he went in running. He worked for Trump. He shared, put his life into the politics, and you're going to see that and hear that today. So let me turn it over to our two gentlemen, Drew and Quinton, so you know what's going on the national level, but particularly on the state level. So gentlemen, I'm turning it to you.
Well, Committee Woman, that is a heck of an intro. I want to thank you again for all of the work that you do every day, not only for the Texas GOP, but the RNC as a whole. Folks may not know, but earlier this year, Chairman McDaniel made the decision to form a temporary grassroots committee at the RNC so that we at the RNC could do a better job working together with the grassroots committee. And Committee Woman DeShiel is actually the chair of that committee. So she has been working tirelessly from day one with a number of other committee members across the country to work on grassroots training manuals, make sure that we're doing everything we can to help folks at the local level. So I want to thank the committee woman for all of her work and all of her support. And to all of our elected officials that are on this call, thank you for everything that you guys are doing. I know often it is a thankless job, but we would not be able to accomplish so many of the successful victories we've seen at the Texas legislature without your dedication, your courageousness, everything that you're doing. So thank you guys for what you're doing. I know a couple of weeks ago at the most recent SREC meeting, I was able to meet Senator Hughes. And so he's just a rock star doing everything he can to fight for conservative values. So I just want to say to all of the elected officials on the call, thank you so much for what you're doing. Hold strong on this special session. We saw the Democrats, back in June, literally just walked out, just quit their job. The last time we tried to get some stuff done, especially on election integrity. So hopefully that won't happen again. But if it does, we have your back. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that you guys have our support and get it done when it comes to election integrity and so many other important issues. So with that, I just want to take a few minutes. First off, when Committee Woman DeShiel first told me about these Friday morning calls, she said, hey, we do these at 7 a.m. every Friday, and we get hundreds of folks. And when you hear that, you kind of think, okay, well, there's probably a couple folks, maybe a couple dozen, but we're here right now. We're at 150 folks on this call. And that is a testament to all of the energy we're seeing at the grassroots level, not only here in Texas, but across the country. And I think that is going to be a huge part of our success, not only in Texas, but nationally when it comes to our goals of taking back both the House and Senate in 2022. I am based in Phoenix, Arizona. So I've been in Arizona for about the past 12 years. I went to Arizona State University, first worked for Congressman Matt Salmon. Some folks may know him. He was actually one of the co-founders of the House Freedom Caucus, a group you may have heard of. So worked for him, worked for Governor Jan Brewer, conservative legislators for many years here in Arizona. Last cycle, I was the RNC state director in Arizona, and now I'm the regional political director based in Phoenix. My region is Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. So I've got a big region, especially in terms of size and a lot of ground to cover, but I've been able to spend a lot of time in Texas so far and just been thrilled by all the work that we've already been able to accomplish. Quinton can probably talk about this a little bit more in depth, but we're already building out our team in Texas. We are hiring staff. We have Quinton Hitchcock as our state director. We brought on 3 deputies. We brought on a data director. We're going to be opening up field offices in some very unique locations before the end of July, which will help us a lot in terms of our targeted engagement to Latinos, to populations that maybe haven't heard Republican values before. So Chairman McDaniel has put a big emphasis on that, and we're going to see that executed in Texas. Our job as the RNC, and we get asked this question a lot, what does the RNC actually do? Our job is to build out the infrastructure for Republican candidates that make it through the primary. We don't choose candidates. That is your guys' job. That is the voters' job to select the best candidates to get through that primary. And then we want to build out the infrastructure for that. So we want to work on voter registration. This past weekend in Texas, we had our first national weekend of action. We had hundreds of folks sign petitions supporting border security, supporting election integrity, getting registered to vote. So we want to be making sure that we're registering folks that share our values, and they're going to turn out to the polls in November 22. We want to make sure we're attracting and recruiting and training our volunteers. We want you guys to know how to register voters. We want you to know how to contact voters at the door, how to have good conversations, how to recruit more folks into our party. And we want to make sure, again, that we have staff all across the state and all across the country that are working together with our candidates, with our elected officials, and being the best partners possible. We are not here to tell you guys what to do. We know that you know Texas better than anybody else. So we're here to be good partners. We're here to tell you about the resources we have, the assets we have from a data perspective, being able to pull the right universes so that you're not just randomly talking to every person that lives in your neighborhood, but you're talking to strategically selected voters who are going to make the difference in our elections in November 22. So we're here to be the best partners possible. Again, it's been great to work with Committeewoman DeShiel, Committeeman Robin Armstrong, Chairman West, the entire state party. We've seen some really huge victories in Texas already this cycle. I mean, the fact that we were able to lock Democrats out of Texas 6, the fact that we were able to win huge mayoral races in Fort Worth and McAllen, a city that has a Hispanic population, 85% of the population is Hispanic. That would have been unheard of to have won a mayoral race even 4 or 5 years ago. We are seeing a lot of awesome gains in Texas, and we're really excited to already be on the ground and working with all of you as partners. We're going to be on the ground at CPAC. We'll have a booth this weekend. I'm actually flying out this evening. Quinton and his team is going to be there. But again, we are so excited to be good partners and work with you and do everything we can to make this happen this cycle.
Great, thank you, Drew. Appreciate it. Okay, Quinton, you're up.
Awesome, thank you, folks. For one, I just want to go ahead and echo what Drew said and say thank you guys so much for being on the call, the elected officials, Committeewoman DeShiel. For those that I'm sure already know, it's been such a pleasure to get to work with everybody. But really quick, I just want to kind of share the vision that we have here in Texas and what it's going to look like for the next 16, 17 months. We've gotten off to a great start. As Drew said, we have some new hires and a lot of staff that we are bringing on. Folks, this is what we're going to look like going forward. And we're basically, this field program is going to be broken up into 3 different components. We are going to have a election integrity division. This is a team that is going to be mobilizing volunteers and a team all across Texas to ensure that that election integrity is preserved here in Texas. We're going to have a grassroots operation. And again, this is going to be a team filled with staff, volunteers all across Texas that are going to be responsible for crucial voter contact, knocking on doors, registering voters, holding different events for specific reasons, making phone calls, all that kind of thing. We plan on doing more voter contact and contacting more critical voters in Texas than have ever been done in history here in this state. That's the goal, at least. And then the last part of what we are going to be doing is what we call regional engagement coordinators. And folks, that is a fancy way of saying we are going to be investing in Latino outreach, African-American outreach, possibly APA outreach up in the DFW area. And we are going to be targeting a lot of minority communities to try to engage with these voters, get them out to vote, get them to be a part of our program, and do things here in Texas that from an RNC perspective, we have not done before. So we have a lot of goals. We have a really big vision for what we want to accomplish here. The team that we're going to have here in Texas is going to be pretty big. We are looking forward to, hitting the ground running. But really quick, I do want to give you a quick update onto what we did last weekend. We had our first national weekend of action. And basically, this was a national voter registration initiative And we were able to hit dozens of different events all over the states. As Drew said, got 100, hundreds of petition signatures, many voter registrations, had a lot of stakeholders and other volunteers activated to go ahead and be a part of what we were doing. And folks, we finished near the top of all the other targeted states that we have in the country. There's plenty of room for improvement, but we are off to a great start. And it is my commitment to be as accommodating as I possibly can be, to answer questions, and just basically to be as helpful as we can, to make everybody's job easier, and to make sure and ensure that as many Republicans cast a ballot in November as possible. But folks, thank you so much for your time. I know it's early, but this is a pleasure for Drew and I. And Committee Woman, like I said earlier, it has been a pleasure to work with you so far. And we hope to be accommodating as much as possible going forward.
That is awesome. Thank you. I mean, the staff that they're already hiring, I'm not sure how many staff are, well, working with the RPT and combining with the staff. And it's incredible what's been going on in just such a short period of time. And ladies and gentlemen, think about it. This is how far out from November of 2022. This isn't like starting next year. It's now. We're committed. We need to make this happen. Donna, I know you're on here. Well, Donna Davidson, I just want you to tell them your request and how quickly you received that request. It wasn't because of me. It was because of Quinton. Where are you, Donna?
I am right here.
There you are, Donna. Tell them what you did.
My husband needed some RNC mover data. You know how you want to try to get people moving into precincts and get them registered to vote and get them to vote Republican. You know, they probably have a Republican history, so we want to contact them. I asked Tony Ann, who do I ask? How do I ask? She forwarded the message. This was just yesterday afternoon. Quinton answered the question. You didn't know it was for me, Quinton. My husband is going to share it with a husband of a candidate for those areas. We're going to try to see if we can get a team of volunteers, precinct chairs and others to go out and welcome these people to these different zip code areas and help encourage them to register to vote Republican. Almost instantaneous. I already sent it to my husband. He's already said, thank you. Everybody's happy.
So, and that is Donna. Thank you very much for sharing. That is a huge success story. I want you all to know that we are working as a team and it has happened. I think I'm not sure, Quinton, if we're going to all go directly to you, but I think we're going to have a data person here pretty quick that we can work with and ask this information. Or if you come to me, we'll get you directed to the right person. But ask and you shall receive. I mean, if we can't make it happen, you'll get an answer why we can't. But pretty much we can take care of these things, and we need to make those contacts to those new movers. I mean, and they're coming in fast. I mean, very fast. So I'm working with someone right now and trying to find a house who's moving from California, and one of their main reasons is because of the critical race theory. They can't stand what's going on in California and they want to come to Texas. And this is happening every single day. These people are angry and we've got to make contact to make sure they get pulled in to vote, but also to volunteer. So I thank you, gentlemen. I'm looking forward to maybe bringing on some other people in the future and introducing to our team, our listeners here, of who you guys have, our comms, our data, or whoever we can. We want to make sure everybody knows that you're here in Texas to work together, as Drew said, partner together. So we've really got an incredible team. Okay. So it is, I see there's all sorts of stuff going on out there and asking questions. I want to, a couple things as your action items. I know we're 1 minute past 8, but listen on. I know we still got a number of people here. Thank you, thank you. SREC is going to have a big job on Sunday. They are going to be voting for the new state chair. And that this person will carry over until the convention of next year. As you all know, that we had 4 candidates a couple weeks ago on the forum. I want you can go and review that video if you want. It's on TonyAnnDeShield.com's website. And you can see that if you haven't made a decision to go to your SREC members. We have a number of them on the call this morning. You have to go to them and let them know, who do you think best would represent Texas for the next number of months, and might continue on through the next time. That meeting is going to be Sunday, 2 p.m. at the Shepherd's House in Louisville, up in North Texas. So 2 p.m. So make sure you get that information to your SREC. I'm hoping on our next call is that we will have on our next call that we will have the new chairman joining us. I will extend an invitation, but they'll be on within the next few weeks, so you will be able to hear from them also during this time. I said that I would give you the information about the T-shirt. Again, here's the T-shirt. Let's see, does that work? One person, one vote. And I think Karen might have gotten a picture on there. But this is where you want to go, is Liberty Tees, and that's Liberty Tees and Gifts.com. So Karen, can you type that in there? If you would, please. So that's LIBERTYTEES and gifts.com. I don't think you're going to get the T-shirt for tomorrow. If you're going to go to Austin, which that's your other challenge, is go to Austin tomorrow early in the morning. If you can get there, then and you want to wear a T-shirt, I don't think you're going to get the T-shirt that quick from this organization. What Tanya Robertson said is that you can go and have it made, is what you can do. The back of the T-shirt says, as I said earlier, it's hashtag easy to the number 2 vote, or hashtag hard the number 2 cheat. Hashtag easy to vote, hashtag hard to cheat. That's what we're about. We want everybody to have that opportunity to be able to vote. So I ask all of you to go to Austin if you can, get aware of what's going on. Go to the TLO, tag all of these words that you want to be aware of. We will be, I think yesterday's email that went out had all of the topics and a little briefing, which came from the Texas, Republican Texas caucus, if I'm not mistaken. So go learn about it, and then also tag it, follow it. And if you can go into Austin, be there, wear T-shirts. And one other thing I want you to know, I typically try to keep the emails to a minimum, but you're going to probably get a lot more because I want to keep you informed. It's going to be moving very fast the next 30 days. And we want to make sure you're aware of what's going on and that your voices can be heard. So those will be coming out more frequently because we're working very hard to have representation. Republicans are going to rock. We're going to make a difference, and we're going to outshine those Democrats. So thank you all for being here this morning. I know there's still a lot of questions that are out there. We will be answering more questions next week. We're hoping that our Senator Hughes, which you're so good about coming on. Thank you, Representative Jetton, Chairman Stephanie Klick. You guys are awesome. And I tell you, the people want to hear from you. We had over 150 people join us this morning because you give us such pertinent information. So thank you. Thank you, Senator. Good luck, guys. Sleep when you can. Thank you, Representative Jetton. Thank you, Representative Klick. You guys sleep when you can and keep on working, and we're here to back you up. So God bless you all. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you all. See everyone.
Thanks. Thank y'all. Bye-bye.